And happy Friday for the week of Who Would Win. We got from Robin and his anime friends, who would win in the fight? The two seductresses of their own respective universes, Poison Ivy versus Boa Hancock from Bleach. One Piece. I literally was just talking about the Thousand Year Blood War arc in the last video, and I still on my mind. Boa Hancock from One Piece. So, Boa Hancock is, I'm still in Thriller Bark. I know a lot about the upcoming stuff in One Piece, so I've done Boa Hancock before in other videos for other things. Boa Hancock and Poison Ivy are interesting because they both function in a similar space in their story, but different ways. One is a villain, one is a obstacle who becomes an ally. And Poison Ivy has delved into being at least anti-hero, but she is more predominantly a villain. Both, though, were victims of an accident. One was force-fed a devil fruit in slavery. The other was exposed to a chemical accident. The issue in this fight simply comes down to how their powers interact with each other, because quite frankly, both could beat the other, and it wouldn't actually be that difficult. Poison Ivy obviously has multiple abilities to manipulate plants, especially in more modern eras. She's actually exceptionally powerful with it, including mutant plants that are giant monster kaijus. But she also has pheromone manipulation to manipulate man or woman to do what she says. Now, there are those with strong enough will that can resist that. The question would be if Boa Hancock is one of those people. But she is kind of a temptress, a seducer, a seductress, a femme fatale in that way. Beyond that, her connection to the green means she's kind of pseudo-immortal in some ways. Like, she can come back to life. There is a comic series where she literally comes back to life from the dead. But it is kind of a unique scenario for that. I'm just got to remember. And she's also exceptionally intelligent. She is a doctor after all. So she is, I believe she's a biochemist, if I'm not mistaken. She's a biologist, a biochemist, as well as, not, I was like potions. That's Harry Potter. Botanist. That's the word I was looking for. The plant studies. Let's see here. But yeah, she's got control toxins, control chlorokinesis. She's immune to toxins, genus level intellect, botany and toxicology, seduction. Now she has basic hand-to-hand combat abilities. She's vulnerable to darkness, though. She requires a large amount of sunlight, and by that measure, she'd also have issues with fire. But Boa Hancock is a different story. Boa Hancock has who's in slavery, was fed devil foods by the celestial dragons, her and her sisters. Hers is, I believe, not Meru. It begins with an M. Essentially, it's a petrification fruit. Anyone who finds her attractive and will have like dirty thoughts or whatever, but anyone who finds her attractive inherently can be susceptible to this fruit, where if she hits you with a kick, she can petrify part of your body. And if she hits you with a heart blast, she'll petrify you into a stone statue. She can undo this, but that's only her who can undo it. Beyond that, she is a skilled hand-to-hand fighter and has access to all three versions of Haki: Conqueror's, Armament, and Observation Haki. Armament allows her to harden her skin with black and scrape armor on her body to enhance her striking capabilities. Observation gives her, enhanced understanding of her surroundings. And true skilled observation Haki, like high level, I believe, can give you like future sight, brief future sight. I don't think she's got that level of skill. At least I don't think so. She also has Conqueror's Haki, which allows you to essentially enforce your will onto someone or something. And you can just down people immediately through that. So like I said, this is interesting because both of these characters have an immediate way to take someone out, the other out. Or at the very minimum, win the day, because Boa should not be immune to pheromones from Poison Ivy. But conversely, Ivy's bisexual and has been in relationships with Harley Quinn on multiple occasions, as well as other people. there's no doubt she'd look at Boa Hancock and think, ooh, I'd like to play with that. Because Boa Hancock is described as the most beautiful woman in the world, which I'm not going to lie, maybe it's because of the art design. I don't see that. Yes, she's got a great figure. She's got big titties. She by their worlds, by the art style, she's a very beautiful woman conventionally. But I'll be flat out honest. Because of the design style, a lot of women tend to have a very similar figure to each other. So it's kind of difficult for me to like Nami, quite frankly, and actually Nami and Robin, quite frankly, in some ways are more attractive than Boa, to be honest, in my opinion. But because, and now don't get me wrong, she's not going to be falling head over heels over Boa, but that's not what her Devil Fruit does. It is playing off of your ability to be attracted to her in general. So yeah. Now, granted, is Ivy sociopathic enough to push those thoughts aside? Quite possibly. Which would give her an edge in theory. But in straight hand-to-hand combat and all the uses of hockey, like Boa could probably cleave through a lot of like mutant plants with no problem between like her hand-to-hand combat and armament hockey. The question comes down to pheromones versus Devil Fruit. And I guess to an extent Conqueror's hockey. Could she enforce her will and just knock out Poison Ivy? My guess to that is no. Poison Ivy does have a pretty strong will, and she has a connection to the green, which might very well help keep her from being subjugated by Boa Hancock. But again, it's a question of attraction in the Devil Fruit versus pheromones. So who I think would be more resistant to what? I think, weirdly enough, Boa could probably use her willpower, and in fact she has Conqueror's hockey of all things, to resist the effects of the pheromones. But at the same time, Poison Ivy is sociopathic enough to maybe resist, maybe push her thoughts aside. However, that logic comes from the belief that she would already know Boa's abilities, right? Like if she knew what the powers of her Devil Fruit were, then she would just push those thoughts aside. The question just comes down to, would Boa be arrogant enough to let her know that prior? And from the little I've seen, she actually doesn't brag right out the front, like, haha, you'll never be able to stop me because of my Devil Fruit powers, which does this. No, she doesn't do that. She'll do it after the effect happens and explains it. Or if someone sees the effect, she might explain it, but no. So in this fight, Poison Ivy wouldn't know what her ability actually is. And because of that, because she would still see her as like, all right, I've got to kill you. Shame, you're so beautiful. We could have had fun. So, I think that would be the Achilles heel in this. Boa has, because she's got Conqueror's hockey, means she's got exceptional will, which means she could resist the effects of the pheromones, at least to a certain degree. And really all she have to do is, she could honestly even flirt with Poison Ivy and maybe even like give her a kiss, and then like she turns to and just say sorry. And say, shame, I was thinking the same thing, and just turn to stone. So yeah, I'd lean towards Boa. She's got the arguably more devastating ability between the two of them in a fight. And she would likely have an easier time resisting the ability without knowing what it is. Now, if they both know each other's abilities, then I might still lean towards Boa, because yes, she could push the thoughts aside, but it doesn't necessarily mean she still doesn't find her attractive. Or she might not be having an ability. Now, let me phrase that. She might not be able to get in an emotional state that would be able to resist the petrification. But even still, even if she couldn't, she could still attack with her mutant plants. So that would still be beneficial. And at least keep Boa at arm's length for a good portion of the fight. Either way, though, I think I'd lean towards Boa in this fight. But this is just my opinion. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you